Hey guys, it's your girl Brie, like the cheese, aka your cosmic bestie, and it's time to get ready with me. We got all of our goodies here to get ready with. I just got out of the shower, I'm feeling good, but besides just getting ready, we are also going to deep dive in to shadow work. If you've been following my series on TikTok and Instagram, you know that I have my oracle deck called Face Your Shadows, and it is 42 shadow work prompts to help you get bigger and better, bolder, more confident, and just heal yourself. You know what I mean? So, that is what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be going over some of these prompts that we've already pulled, just breaking it down a little bit more in depth as I'm getting ready and we're going through and we're just talking about the journey, the process, and everything else. So, buckle up, let's take a ride, and let's do this thing, baby. All right, first and foremost, if you know me, you know me. I am a glazed, kind of glass skin kind of girly, okay? I love really, really, really good skincare. I love to be hydrated and everything. And obviously, you're seeing I'm just out of the shower. That's why I'm a little red. And I personally just grabbed a few more new things, so I'm super excited about that. But first and foremost, we start off with Bioma Balancing Toner Mist. But as I'm getting into this today, I really do want to talk about shadow work because it's very important. And I feel like a lot of us don't really take the time, or we don't necessarily know when it's the right time. So I just want to talk about my journey about that. Again, hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, and we also do our snail mucin toner. So, what is shadow work? Let's start there. Shadow work is, and this is my definition of it, okay? Shadow work to me is questions that open up the deeper layer within yourself. A part of you that you're able to take accountability in different ways. You can see the structure of yourself, you can see the structure of those around you, how you react, what you're saying, what you're doing, the patterns, so that you maybe are not thinking on a conscious level, but more of a subconscious level. And that is really what shadow work feels like to me. It feels like to me taking time out to really unlock the closet, right? Open up the closet that's full of, we'll just say skeletons. um, just full of skeletons that you've been pushing back, and you don't necessarily want to face them. But shadow work is, to me, again, when you're ready to face your own shadows. That's why this deck is called Face Your Shadows. You have to be ready to really divulge and be honest with yourself when you sit down and you do any or all of these prompts. And I say that, and how this, this deck came about here is because I knew that there was something missing on the market for not only myself, but for other people as well. In the sense of like, yes, there's like shadow work journals and stuff that go through, but how can we do it? How can I start? What is it all breaking down? And there's journals that are out there that do that, right? But I like to do things in my own way. And something as simple as this, of like pulling out a card and just focusing on that one thing at one time, and maybe taking a week or maybe 2 weeks, hell, even a month if you really need to really deep dive and divulge into it, I think is some of the best things that you can do. But, for me, remember, 2 moisturizers, CosRX, hyaluronic acid with the snail mucin, tea, baby. But I feel like the shadow work is, it's like it's the opener, right? If you're like at like a show, like a comedy show or a musical or whatever, right? Like there's always an opener, and it feels like this is the opener to deeper stuff, to really see yourself, to really heal yourself, to really unlock a different layer of yourself in a way that you haven't necessarily looked at yourself. You haven't necessarily paid attention to the patterns, or you have and you just ignore them, right? So the shadow work in itself is really just another form of therapy, in my personal opinion. And the next question that I always get is like, when do you know that you're ready? Like, when do you know that you're ready to take this step and do some of these questions? Like, some of these questions are kind of basic, but kind of not. Like, one of the ones that I just did, when do you feel the most inauthentic? That's a fairly deeper question, right? Who do you need to forgive, and is it you, and why? Like, these are deeper questions. And some of the questions in the deck are a little bit lighter, like, oh, like, where do you find joy, and who brings you the most joy in your life, stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is like, when you're ready is when you're ready to get out of the cycle and the pattern that you're in. At least that's how it worked for me. Like, I started realizing, and if you watch my journey, right, you know that like I stopped, or I started changing my life in about spring of 2021, and now it's spring of 2025, so it's been 4 years in the process, and it has been a whirlwind. But it was when I was ready to take accountability for my own stuff. I was ready to start doing shadow work when I was sick and tired of the same merry-go-round of the same BS over and over and over again. And I finally was like, okay, I have to do something to stop this ride of hell. Because that's what it felt like. It literally felt like it was a ride of hell. Also, we're adding in rose hip oil as our finisher, a new oil I just purchased. I really do love it. It's very fragrance heavy, so that's something that I'm not a huge fan of, but I got it from Marshall's, do what you gotta do. But basically, that's when I started. If anytime I get that question of like, so when do you know you're supposed to start, that is my identifier, is when you know that you're ready for change, when you know you're ready to take accountability and change the direction of the merry-go-round, or hell, get off the merry-go-round. You know what I mean? That is when it's time to make the change. That is when it's time to switch up your life. And you don't need anybody's permission. You don't have to tell anybody what you're doing. You don't have to break it down and divulge it with people, because truthfully, there's going to be people in your life that you're like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm feeling really good and I'm releasing stuff and I'm noticing stuff and I'm realizing stuff, and they're still stuck in their cycle, and they just send you bad juju. They just send you evil eye. There's jealousy. There's this I'm really trying to think of the word. I can't even think of the word. Besides jealous, like, they are intimidated. That's the word. They're intimidated by you because you're finally taking the steps to do what you need to do to heal yourself. And they're not necessarily ready to do that because everyone's on their own journey. So don't make yourself seem like you're better than everybody else because you've started this journey. So let's get into the nitty gritty of it all, okay? But first, dollar store purchase, okay? This hyaluronic acid body butter, I'm thoroughly, pleasantly surprised. Okay, I am very shocked. I love this. And I probably shouldn't have put the oil on before I open this. There we go. But it's very thick. Like, it's super thick, you know? It smells like coconut oil. Yeah. Coconut with tea tree. That's what's in this. And there's, let's see, hyaluronic acid is like the third ingredient, so that's pretty heavy. No, I take that back. It's one of the last ones. My bad. But also, it's from the dollar store, so you know what I mean? If you're trying to be bougie on a budget, you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, but if you use hyaluronic acid serum like I do, you just layer that and put this on top of it, and boom, you're good. But back to what I'm saying. You can't pretend like you're better than everybody else, because confirmation, you know that everybody else has their own journey. And maybe you stumbled across this video because you realize that you're ready. You've been feeling these nudges, or maybe you've already done it and you need more help, you need deeper questions, you need more. That's where I come into play. These are all questions that I have done myself, and I have really opened up within my own space and in my own world of like, yeah, this is this is something that I needed to do so that I can become the person. I'm rubbing it on my legs. So that I can become the person that I was meant to be. And during this process, I've realized a lot, like a lot about myself, about my childhood self, about the person that I want to become, the adult that I'm trying to be, the wife, the mother, the daughter, the friend, like all of these hats that I wear. These questions really open that up for me and open my eyes in a way that started to make sense of what I really wanted. So that's a part of the process I think you have to be ready for, is like it's going to change your world upside down, seriously. And are you ready for that? Are you ready to change? Cuz that's your real identifier. If that's what you really want, this is the time. This is a great first start. So, when I'm done with this lotion here, let's jump into some of these questions. I feel like we are intimidated by some of these questions. We are nervous, to be honest with ourselves, but that's why I said taking accountability of where you're at is very important. Because when you take accountability, then there's like this release. And I can't necessarily explain it unless you've actually been there. Oh man. New product, Sand and Fog dry body oil. I like dry body oil, but it has a beautiful scent. It's very coconutty. Um, and it comes out very like liquidy, obviously, but when it dries down, it's more of like a dry oil. Because we gotta be hydrated, baby. I like looking like a glazed donut. Krispy Kreme, sponsor me. But seriously, I think we have to take that accountability within ourselves and really open up of what exactly we want. So I think a great first question that we have here, and I don't, these are kind of out of order, but one of the first questions that we had is, what limiting beliefs do you need to release? It's time to let it go, babe. This question in particular was a really good question for any of my beginners, because maybe you're not ready to face like the deepest part of yourself, but something like this, like your limiting beliefs, like that is pretty deep, but it can open up a new world. For me, my limiting beliefs was that I wasn't enough unless I worked super hard for it, that money was hard to make, that being loved required me to wear a mask, that I couldn't, that I wasn't enough the way that I am and was, right? Like that was something that I really realized for like myself of like, wow, like this is this is a big issue. Hold on. Gotta grab my brush. Um I'm just gonna bend over. Here we go. And no, I'm not gonna cut that out. That's just real. This is the real get ready with me, right? But this is my Dollar Tree Unbrush dupe, $1.25. My Dollar Tree Shea Moisture Vanilla Coconut Mousse dupe, $3, Dollar Tree. And my continuous spray bottle via my mother. Thank you very much. And a shout out to my niece for making my hair oil. This is amazing and I'm obsessed with it. And no, I don't know what's in it. But the limiting beliefs, I think a lot of us have a bunch of limiting beliefs that we don't even necessarily realize. But I've been in business since 2020, and like July, August of 2020. So it's been about 4 years, 5 years at this point. And it's interesting because when you're an entrepreneur, when any type of business, if you have not healed yourself, if you have not like really worked on yourself and worked on your ego, So much stuff does not work out. So much stuff you're not ready for. So much stuff will blow up in your face. And, if you've watched my journey of my self discovery video, more part of that. But truthfully, in this in this process, the limiting beliefs really stemmed from a lot of stuff when I was growing up. I always was doing stuff to live for other people. I was in choir, I was in plays, I was on the swim team, I was on the tennis team. I made sure I was varsity, I made sure I was honor society. I graduated summa cum laude. Like, I really, really, really pushed myself because that was expected. And I was working 3 jobs at one point and going to school full time, like in college. And I was failing college. I had no idea what I was doing. I was freaking out. And my aunt was like, "Why don't you just go to this broadcasting school? Like, you love being on TV and talking on the radio, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's something that you should do." So I was like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, let me go there." And I ended up going there and I loved it. Graduated within a year, the way that the program was, and I got my associates. And I guess you could say I am technically using the degree now, but I didn't use it for a really long time. And I've realized that, like, the limiting beliefs that I had were, if I wasn't making a certain amount of money, or if I wasn't living on my own, or if I had to ask for help, oh, don't mind me, oil. If I had to ask for help, if I had to admit that I was struggling, then I felt like I was a failure. And that will really mess with you on any journey, but especially this journey that I've been on. And I think realizing now that, like, I am truly so much more than the work, right? I am more than what people put me at, because it's not about them, it's about me. And I realized that um as I'm 30. So I realized that at 30, and that is like such a huge thing. Like, I feel like in my 20s, I wanted to prove to everybody that I was better. I wanted to prove to everybody I could do it on my own and I could bust my ass and I could be this amazing person without any help, and I would feel so good and I would impress so many people. And now I'm like, why would I have done that? Like, that's not that impressive. I struggled. I was depressed for years. I hated my life, like, in a lot of ways. Like, there was a lot of struggles and turmoil and pain and suffering. I hated the medical field. I was in it for 10 years. I would sell fitted sheets at Costco and, like, bamboo pillows inside of Kroger in the freezer section. Like, I was doing the most random stuff because I felt like I had to. I had to be this person. I had to go in this way. So if something like this, like the limiting beliefs, and I'll read it again. What limiting beliefs do you need to release? It's time to let it go, babe. That is a great one to start with, because truthfully, like, everyone has something that they need to let go that is limiting them from being the person that they need or want to be. And mind you, these shadow work questions are not a one and done. Okay, no matter who it is, no matter how healed you are never 100% healed. You are constantly healing. There is more stuff that comes up over and over and over again, or new realizations that happen, and it's okay. I don't think anybody should be like, "Oh yeah, I'm 100% good." Cuz, like, that's not even real. You know what I mean? So, basically, like, take take your time when you're doing shadow work, because sometimes it doesn't all come out at once. Sometimes you have to revert back to it. Sometimes, it'll trigger something in you and then you're having like a moment, and that's okay too. Just be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself. Just know that whatever you're writing down, whether if it's physical, which I think physical is the better option personally, because you're physically letting it out of your body, putting pen to paper, and able to do whatever with it. Like, there's a few times where I've burned journal entries, I've doused them in water, I put them in the pond by my house, like, just releasing it and letting it go in ways that you can't necessarily do on like your computer or like your iPad or your cell phone. I mean, you can delete it, but it doesn't hit the same. You know what I mean? And I think that's a part of the process of figuring out what's best for you. And nothing is like you have to do it in a certain way, right? Like nothing is, oh, it has to be done like this, and if you don't do it like this, then it's not right. That's not how I work. That's not the way I do. Because for me, I think everyone has their own way, their path, and their purpose. Don't I look all glowy? Um, excuse me while I add my jewelry and my glasses. But these questions, the reason why I did these questions was because I realized that a lot of people struggled in many different ways, but there's a lot of similarities across the board. And if you have like a tight knit friendship group, maybe this is something that you can do with them. I know that I do stuff like this with a few of my friends, and we really break down stuff and we're open and we're honest and we share, and there's no judgment. And that's a big deal, right? Tiger's eye, hematite. Um, I think that's a part of this process is either you're doing it alone or you're doing it with other people, but you have to be real and honest with yourself. So let's go through a few more of these. Let's see, what's a good one? This one. What part of yourself do you hide from others? Why do you feel the need to? This has been a part of my Saturn return over these last like 3 years, 2.5 years of my life, I should say. And this is where everything changed for me when I realized that the person that I was hiding was the person that I always wanted to be seen. I wanted people, especially like family or friends, like real family and friends. I wanted them to love me for me, and the me, even though the me that I was hiding, I wanted them to still see that. I wanted them to see through the mask. I wanted them to see through the hard work and dedication and see the sadness and see the pain that I had within myself and see how much I hated what I was doing. And I was just so exhausted. I was so sad. I was so depressed. I was so anxious all the time. And the part of yourself that you hide, right, that mask that you put on, at some point you have to let it go. And you have to realize like what exactly you're looking for in terms of breaking down something like this. Like there is friends, family, people, relationships in your life that you will realize that you have to let go of these people because they refuse to see you as you. They refuse to see the healed version of you. They refuse to see the you taking off your mask. They only want to see you as the person with the mask on because that's the person that they can control. That's the person that they know, right? So when you start switching up and you start changing, oh, you're different, you're acting different, I don't like this, what happened to you? Excuse me. Spearmint, this is my tea. Spearmint tea with hibiscus and raspberry leaf. Love this. And for any of my infertility PCOS girlies, this tea is how I got pregnant. For real. But also healing myself in more than one way. But I really believe that the mask that you hide behind, at some point it breaks off. I keep seeing Mulan in my head, right? When she, like in the beginning scenes where she's trying to be the perfect bride. And then that's when the iconic scene of her like going to her ancestors and being like, look at me, I will never be this perfect bride or a perfect daughter. Basically I mess up and this and that. And she takes off the makeup. That is you, right? When you do something like this, That is what's going to happen. Excuse me. I'm getting over strep throat, so. But I think these kind of questions need to expand your mind in a way where you're being honest with yourself. And I was honest with myself when I realized this. And it took me a while, right? Like I said, this has been like a 2.5 year process that I've realized this. The part of myself that I hide from others was the the caring. Like I cared way too much about everybody else instead of caring about myself. And I felt like I was bad or wrong for putting myself first, because the way that I was raised was you take care of everybody else, then you take care of yourself last. And I've realized that that is the complete opposite. You cannot pour from an empty cup, you need to pour from your overflow. And I was pouring my very last drop to everybody else, and then I had nothing left. So I wasn't able to take care of myself. I wasn't able to really push myself forward and do the things I love and do the things I want, because I was focused on everybody else. I wasn't focused on me. I wasn't focused on what I needed to do. And that's a part of this like grief. I grieve the person that I was. I loved the Brie that got me here. She was very strong and she tried so hard, and she really, really, really did care so much about what other people thought about her, but she cared so much about what other people thought that she wasn't doing anything for herself. And I grieve that person. I grieve that Brie, that part of me, because she got me here. She was strong enough to get me here, and I appreciate that and I love that. But I also realize that she needs to rest, and she needs to, know that I love her, know that I am safe now, that she's safe now, that she is being seen. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks, it doesn't matter what anybody else says, that she is seen now. That she has the help that she needs, the support that she wants. She is loved by so many people in her life that aren't necessarily blood, but they are viewed as blood, and they are family. They are her true soul family. And there is so much gratitude and there's so much love that I have there for not only my soul family, but the Brie that I used to be. Because that's how I feel you are able to transition, right? From the childhood trauma to the teenage trauma to the early adult life trauma, or maybe you're further in your journey and you're like midlife trauma, right? And there's stuff that you gotta like get through. That is where you have to be honest, and you have to give that gratitude to who you were and who that person was to get you to where you are today, and tell them that it's okay, and give them the rest, and give them that the security. That's the word what I'm looking for. Let's break down one of these other ones. We'll do one more. And if you're looking for like the whole spread, make sure to go check out my TikTok. All the parts, well, not all the parts. I do one every single day for the next like 40 or so days. So, check out which ones. It's linked in my page there. Maybe this one. Oh, okay, this one. Love this one. This one's one of the lighter ones, right? How do you respond to compliments? Do you embrace it or do you deflect? And this one was one of the ones that I put in there because I've noticed with like me and my friends, we take this like time, right? Where we'll like compliment each other and we'll be like, oh, girl, you look so hot. Like, love that lip liner. Love this, love that. And I don't know if it's because I grew up in the Midwest or what. You can never just say like thank you and I also love it. It's like, oh, I got it at JCPenney's half off, or oh, I got this on sale, or oh, somebody told me something. And it's never just like a thank you, I agree. It's always thank you, or oh no, you look better, or this is better, or whatever. There's always some type of deflect. And I realized that like it was really hard for me to take compliments, like even from my own husband, who like compliments me literally every single day. And it's hard to like take those compliments sometimes because I didn't love what they were complimenting, right? Like I wasn't appreciating what I was getting complimented on. Like, oh, you have a beautiful smile. Oh, you have beautiful eyes. Oh, you have beautiful hair. I hated my hair growing up. I hated my hair. One, I didn't know what I was doing with it. But two, like, I just, anytime, oh, your curls are so beautiful. They're so beautiful. I fried my hair because I wanted to look like everybody else. And same thing with like, oh, like I get this compliment a lot of like, I love your personality. I love your energy. And because I was like hiding who I was for so long, but like bits and pieces of me were like cracking through, I felt like I had to like get like putty and like fill the hole. Oh, yeah, I mean, thanks, but and like crack a joke, like a self deprecating joke, like, yeah, but I'm still a fatty, or, oh, yeah, but I reek or whatever it is, right? Like I would just bring up something that I didn't like when I was getting complimented because I couldn't stand to actually take the compliment because I didn't really actually love myself. I just was pretending like I did. And maybe you're at that point in your life, right? Where this might be like a realization for you. You're like, huh, maybe I do really deflect and I don't embrace it because one of my friends, we met together at a very tumultuous place when we were working together in the medical field, Christina. And one time I like complimented her and she was just like, thank you, I know. And she's a Sagittarius, okay? So I was like, okay, like, that's interesting. And she could tell like I was like feeling off about it. And she goes, there's nothing wrong with saying thank you and I know because you already feel that about yourself. So you are giving the gratitude, like, thank you so much. I know I love this lip color on me, or thank you so much. I love when I wear this color dress on me, or thank you so much. I've worked so hard on my hair and my growth journey. Thank you for noticing. You know what I mean? It's the difference. It's the perspective of it all. Because the perspective that I was in was just very much like, you can't let anybody see the real you. You can't be honest with yourself. You can't do this with yourself. Because if you were actually taking these compliments, you would seem rude, or you would seem ungrateful, or you shouldn't love yourself like that. But loving yourself boldly and unapologetically should not be something you are ashamed of. And honestly, more people should be doing it. I love, because I got a few Sagittarius friends. Actually, majority of the people in my life are Sagittariuses. But I love my fire signs. I really do. Because y'all are like, you're telling me something I already know. And I love that. I really do. I think that confidence, there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, but I love it. I love that confidence because I didn't grow up with that. I didn't grow up with people around me, especially the women around me, being confident. That's why I couldn't take a compliment. They never take compliments. It's always, oh no, but I'm still fat, or oh no, I have bat wing arms when I wave, or oh no, I have varicose veins, or whatever it is. Like, whatever it is, they're always talking about, they always deflect it. And that was my go to. And now when people like compliment me, I'm like, thanks, babe. And then I even offer a compliment back that I truly believe in. Confirmation. But like, I do. Like, if somebody's like, oh, I love the dress that you're wearing, thank you so much. I love your earrings. Because I want to send that energy right back. You know what I mean? But in general, the Face Your Shadows series, because I'm trying to wrap it up here. I could go on and on about any of these, but when you're ready, when you're being really real with yourself, of you're ready for this change, you're ready to get off the roller coaster of hell, the merry-go-round of pain, or whatever you want to call it, and you're ready to take accountability, and you're ready to move forward, start with shadow work. Check out my series, check out Pinterest prompts. You could probably put it in Chat GPT, honestly. Like, you just have to take the time to really divulge as deep as you can go and really let it all go and move through it and understand it. Of course, if you're ever looking for a personal reading, go ahead and click my link below or check me out on my socials. But thanks for getting ready with me, guys. I love you, babe.